Hey friends, Kylie here, your host of Dream On with Kylie Oemiller, back for another episode with one of the most kind humans, an amazing teammate, and one of the best midfielders in the game. Thank you as always for tuning in. These episodes are recorded from a live Zoom webinar that I hold through the KO17 Lacrosse app and are constructed into this Dream On podcast that you have found here. I hope you are gaining some insight from these episodes from some of the people that I have met throughout my lacrosse journey who have imposed so much of their wisdom on me. If you're loving our episodes so far, show us some love in the reviews and rate us 5 stars. Also, be sure to SUBSCRIBE. It would mean the world to us. All right, we've got another very special guest this week, and I'm pumped to get right into it. This episode's guest is Dempsey Arsenault, Boston College legendary midfielder who now plays for Team USA and the Athletes Unlimited Professional League. I have been lucky enough to be Dempsey's teammate for a few years now and have grown to know how much joy she plays with and how much fun it is to be on the same side of the battle as her. She is a spark when it comes to making the gritty plays on the lacrosse field and finds the spark in her everyday life when she practices yoga, gets her runs in the San Diego sunshine, and spreads her love for the game to the next generation. Dempsey shares with us how her upbringing living on prep school grounds in New Hampton, New Hampshire, helped inspire her to play sports at the next level. She was surrounded by greatness, and she still utilizes that motivation from the great people who surround her today, like her teammates and roommates, to keep her training routine adamant and her head in the game. She's an incredible player and an incredible person to look up to. So I hope you all enjoy hearing a bit more from Dempsey on her story. All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Dream On podcast. I'm your host, Kylie Oemiller, and today we have an amazing guest. Her name is Dempsey Arsenault. She's one of my friends, one of my teammates. She's a Boston College alum. She was a 2-time All-American there. She's most recently a Team USA gold medalist with our 2022 World Championship team. She also plays for Athletes Unlimited Professional Lacrosse. She was a multi-time captain so far in her career with AU. And she's the owner of Dempsey Arsenault Lacrosse. So she does a lot of traveling, clinics, development, coaching, all of the good stuff. But Dempsey, welcome to the Dream On Pod. I'm so excited to have you here. Thanks for hanging out with us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to catch up and talk. So good to see your face. I feel like it's been so long.
I know it has. It's been like a really long summer. I feel like we all got to see each other a lot the last couple of years, just with training camps and everything. And this like winter has been just like really long in terms of that. So it is so nice to see you as well. We like to always start off to a good start on the Dream On Pod. So we're going to get into like your headspace of where you are right now today as we record. So today it's Monday, April 10th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Eastern time. You're on Pacific Coast time. So she's 3 p.m. right now. So what is something that you are thankful for today, Dempsey?
Oh, something I'm thankful for. So I just got back from a little run outside. So I would say I'm thankful for the sunshine today. I also just was on the phone with my parents. So I'd say I'm thankful for my family. It's weird. So I haven't lived at home for a while, but like being across the country, I feel like I talk to them almost more because I'm like in the car and stuff I'm driving, like, hey, what are you up to? Like, I feel like I'm talking to them more. So I'd say the sunshine and my family.
Oh, I love that. What is something you're proud to say that you've accomplished today?
Well, I just did a practice with the Park City lacrosse high school team is down here playing in San Diego. So I went to their practice and got to hang out and meet a bunch of new girls. So that happened, which was really fun. Got to meet new girls, get on the field, had the stick in my hand. So that was pretty fun.
Oh, love that. Those connections are the best, especially on a, Monday after it's like spring break weekend and everything like that. So that's so fun. All right. What is something you are pumped to go chase? So it could be like with this next week, with this next year, in the coming years, what are you pumped to chase?
A new thing is actually, I just signed up to do a half marathon. So I'm a big runner, but I've never like actually done a race or anything. So I'm really excited. That's going to come in a month or so. So I'm like starting to train for that. So that's one new thing. I feel like it's a little different for me. So I'm really excited about that.
Ooh, that's so fun. I mean, I feel like I always see you running. So like what made you want to finally like take the leap to finally go for a race?
Well, actually, it was one of my old teammates, Sheila Riotano. She reached out to a few of us that live out here together. And she was like, hey, I'm coming to do the La Jolla half marathon with my mom. Would anyone want to come? And I was like, wait, yeah, I would totally do that with you. So Right now, I think there's about like 3 or 4 of us doing it, and so it's so funny because we're all teammates from college, and now we're out here and we're gonna like train and do it together, which will be really fun.
Oh, that's amazing. So where are you at in your training? What's the longest you've gone so far?
7
Okay,
at a
sweet.
very slow pace. So I feel like this can be a little bit not a super competitive thing, but it will still be great.
Hey, it'll be better than what I can say, which is I've never done it before. So there you go. I love
Maybe this will push you once
right?
you're like that. Yeah.
Exactly. I did 3.5 miles today, and that
Oh,
was massive for me.
that's amazing. Well, also you're
Something,
coming back from like you're rehabbing, so that's amazing. Good job.
yeah, it's thank you. See, look at us supporting each other from so far away. We're so used to
I know,
it.
seriously. Exactly.
So used to the Zoom support. All right, so let's talk a little bit about we're talking about races right now, but let's talk a little bit about lacrosse. Let's take us back. Right now you're on the West Coast in sunny California. But you grew up in New Hampshire. You played hockey, field hockey, lacrosse, all sorts of sports with your siblings growing up, right? Can you tell us a little bit about where you grew up and what it was like growing up playing sports with your family, friends, and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so I have a really unique story. So I actually grew up on a prep school campus. So both of my parents are teachers, and my dad's the athletic director. It's called New Hampton School, and it's a little school in New Hampton, New Hampshire. And so I grew up around sports. My dad would have like a little gator, like egg. So I'd hop in there like from a really young age, and we go and sit on the sidelines of all different sports teams. And so I'd play after school with all of the other faculty kids. So we constantly had like activity going on. We would play soccer, lacrosse, field hockey. We would just do it all. And I feel like that was really special because we were constantly outside and just like hanging out around the game and around sports. So I feel like that was kind of my first exposure to lacrosse specifically, but just growing up around sports, I feel like is kind of like paved my way and something I'm really thankful for, but not super common.
Yeah, you know what's funny? I don't think I knew that about you, and I always learn something about like our guests on the Dream On Pod. That's half the reason why I do this, is to
Yeah.
get to know my friends some more. So that's really cool. And you mentioned that you first were kind of introduced to lacrosse there in that area. So when you were first introduced to lacrosse, like what did that story look like for you? When did you first pick up a stick, and what made you fall in love with it?
There are a few girls that were also faculty kids. One of them went on to play at Princeton, and then one played a little bit at Elon. And so they were playing club, and I just kind of wanted to follow they were playing rec at the small little field in Plymouth, New Hampshire. It was like 20 minutes away, and we would carpool together. And so they were playing, and I like just wanted to follow their footsteps and play. So I started around 6th grade, and we all go to the little field and play. And then I really enjoyed it, and I really loved lacrosse. So then I started playing club for it's called Granite State Elite GSE, and I would drive probably like I think it was an hour and a half, once or twice a week, and it was great quality bonding time with my parents. But I always enjoyed going and playing. So yeah, it was definitely hard growing up in New Hampshire, just like as far as travel, just to get to like competitive areas. But I look back and those are like some of my favorite memories, just like being in the car and driving with my parents.
Yeah, some of those road trips, you have some of
Yeah.
the most bonding experiences you possibly could have. So that's awesome. That's what I was going to ask you about next, was kind of just like your introduction to like club lacrosse and what that looked like for you coming from New Hampshire, not necessarily like the biggest hotbed for the sport, definitely growing now thanks to players like you, which is awesome. But like you said, you spend a lot of time in the car, right? And traveling to a lot of these tournaments. So when did it kind of switch over for you, going from a sport that you wanted to try, then you got into club, and then you were like, hey, might want to play this in college? What did that look like for you?
There's like a vivid moment, which I feel like sometimes when I look back, like my brain, I'm acting like I'm like 80 years old, but like only 25. But I look back and there's one specific moment where I was on spring break for lacrosse, and I was a sophomore in high school, and I had to leave to go play hockey. Like I had to go to a hockey camp, and I was so upset, and I just like did not want to stop playing lacrosse. So it wasn't specifically when I wanted to like play in college. Like I always kind of knew that I wanted to, like after like just being around sports and being around so many Division 1 like athletes, like in high school growing up, so many players that went to New Hampton went on to play college sports. So I feel like that was always just like in my mind. But my big turning point was deciding if I want to play hockey or lacrosse.
Mhm.
And when I had to leave lacrosse to play hockey, I was like, and being so upset, I was like, okay, this is like when I want to really like dive into lacrosse. And also like one thing that I don't say all the time is I was in Florida and I had to leave Florida too. So I think that helped a little bit, but no, I always loved lacrosse. And that was kind of like that clear cut moment when I think I was about like a freshman in high school or so.
That's crazy that you can cut it down to that one moment, because I feel like a lot of times people can't. It's just like I don't know what like kind of clicked, and
Yeah.
that's a tough decision to make at such a young age too. And I guess like my next question for you for that is, what do you think you took from hockey, like loving hockey so much, playing so often? What do you think you took from hockey that made you a better lacrosse player?
Yeah, I would say also, I would say one is like just learning different coaching styles. Like I feel like all my different coaches throughout different sports, whether it's like just how you play the game, I just feel like my coaches were so different from each other. So I feel like kind of adapting and learning different things from them was important. And then honestly, my hands, I feel like the hand-eye coordination and kind of like ground balls and stuff, it helps so much playing hockey just because you're so used to that. So that was kind of something that I always like kind of took pride in. And I feel like that definitely like helped for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. What is one thing that you miss about hockey?
Ooh, I I think like skating in general is just so cool. Like just physically skating is really cool, but I do not miss the cold rinks or putting on all the equipment. The equipment it takes, you have to plan like 30 minutes just to like get ready. Whereas lacrosse, like you can just show up and tie your shoes. Where like hockey, there's so much equipment. So I don't really miss that or anything. But I would say skating is just so fun in general and gliding and stuff. So probably that.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so you were kind of just like going through a lot of your different club program stories and stuff like that. When did it turn, and when did you start getting recruited? When did you kind of say, this might be my recruiting journey, this is going to be my big recruiting summer? Did you go through any, ups and downs throughout that recruiting process, and how did you ultimately find BC?
Yeah, so I did a lot of camps. I feel like that was kind of where I got the most exposure. I'd say during tournaments, I got a little bit of some looks, but I feel like I did a Duke camp and there were a bunch of other coaches that were there. So that was one big recruiting moment. And then I did the BC camp. So I feel like through that was kind of where I got seen by some coaches. But a lot of people don't know this was I almost committed well, it was always like BC, UNC, and then I almost committed to Elon in North Carolina. And then it was like my parents, I think they wanted to like keep me a little closer to home so they could go to all my games. I think they only missed like one or two games like my entire career. So I feel like just I was so young at the time, just like listening to them. And when I went to BC, the girls on the team like really took me in and were awesome. So I looking back, I'm like, I honestly don't know like exactly what it was, but I'm just like so thankful. And I just had such a good feeling there when I went to visit.
Oh, that's awesome. So you said your parents they only missed like one or two games your entire career. So they were at almost every single one of your games when you went to college.
Yes, exactly. And it was
Oh,
like amazing. I loved
yeah,
having
that's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing to have that support system, and just like one of those top things on those lists too. When we think about, like, we have a lot of young players and parents who listen to this podcast, and just one of those priorities when you put like a list down of priorities when you go through that recruiting process, like, I want to be close to my family. I want, a big city kind of town, or I want a rural kind of town, whatever it might be. So I think that's really cool that, like, that's very similar to my story as well. I wanted to go far away at first, and then I went to Stony Brook, 45 minutes down the road, and I was so grateful because my whole family could be at every single game. And I don't think I would have realized how big of that would have been of a thing if I had gone somewhere else, right?
100%.
So nice to have them everywhere, like at every single game, just that support.
Definitely. And there's something different too, like when they watch like on TV and stuff, like them being there in person, I don't know, it's just like such more of like a comfort, and like that support system is huge. So, and I feel like I wouldn't have realized that, just like you said, if I had gone so far. So
Yeah, if you hadn't gone somewhere else. Yeah. So when you think back to your time with BC, you guys are obviously a powerhouse. And I think that you obviously had such a successful, career there. What were some of the moments that you think back to, maybe like big time games, or even games that maybe the press hadn't seen as such a big time moment, but for you guys, it was one of those games that you'll never forget? What are some of those stories or moments that you can think back to when you think back to the BC huddles or being in that locker room?
yeah, honestly, so one thing about me, I have a terrible memory. Like I have the worst memory ever. So honestly, like my Snapchat memories have been super helpful.
Oh, that's the
They're
best.
like, I'll get memories. So the other day I just got one and it was my friend. We were watching film and she sent it in our little group chat. And it was one time we played Virginia and they were plowing the field at halftime. Like you could just see it was all snow, and then the restraining lines had like a little plowed, like where the restraining line was. And I got pushed from behind and I like fell for honestly like it was like a 3-minute fall where I couldn't get my feet on me, and then I just like penguin slided or slid, and I just like, oh my gosh, like that, like how were we playing lacrosse? Like I have to find it and I'll send it to you, but it was like I was like, oh my gosh, one, like I'm so thankful I'm in sunny California. That is a blizzard, and then also like it was just so funny. So that's one, but also was the assist of Snapchat. But I would say it was really special. We made it to 3 national championships. So I feel like those kind of like big moment, like high stake games are the ones that are like the most fresh kind of in my mind. And then growing up in New Hampshire, my sophomore year, we played at Gillette. So that was really, really special just from being on the East Coast and being a Patriots fan. So I'd say some of those moments definitely stick out to me.
Oh, that's amazing. And you mentioned this too, just quickly about, playing in those big games, playing in those national championships and Final Fours and big stadiums. Was that something that you were used to just from growing up around sports and you didn't really necessarily feel the pressure? Or were you just like all of us and you felt the pressure in those big games? And I guess, could you give some advice to the rest of us on how you prepare for those big moments?
I would say definitely felt the pressure. It's kind of hard not to. But it was also just so exciting. And I feel like our coaches, we did a lot of visualization. So that was something in college that I never did in high school that really kind of took off in college, and even helped me this summer playing professionally and for Team USA is kind of like picturing those big moments and imagining what was happening before it actually happened. So when it happens in real life, you're kind of prepared and as best you can. So I think that was something that Acacia was huge on, and we would all go and lay in the middle of the field with our eyes closed and the sun on our face, and she'd walk us through these scenarios. And in the moment, I remember being like, oh, this is a little weird, but I also like look back and I'm like, wait, that was so helpful, and I still do it today. So I would say that is something that I kind of took away to help me prepare, but I definitely remember like it's hard not to feel that like pressure but also that excitement.
Yeah, that's really cool that you guys did that as a team and that was so, practiced by you all. And I think it was great for you to say too. At first it can feel a little funny to do it,
Yeah.
but once you realize the beauty behind it, the magic behind like it actually works. It actually really does. When you can picture something in your mind is almost practicing it rather than
Yes.
the same way we physically practice like catching and throwing. Then if we just did it in our mind the same way, if we practiced catching and throwing in our mind, we would be able to do it as well.
Exactly.
Which is really cool. And I'm so glad that you brought that, into like continuing on in your professional and your Team USA career as well, because I think that's something we talk about so much at this level that I wish we talked about more, right? Like just like those big pressure situations. How do you prepare? What's your mental state like? All that good stuff. Like stuff that we all think about now that I wish we thought about when we were in high school,
Oh, 100%. Definitely.
Amazing.
Do you love watching sports highlights? Then you need 5-Star, the world's first sports highlight rating app. Think TikTok, but just for sports. Register as an athlete or as a fan to view and rate sports highlights of all sports, all in one place. 5-Star is a positive network of athletes from all skill levels to share their performance and get rated by peers, coaches, and community. Download 5-Star and post your highlights. Follow me at Kylie and rate my highlights, but please be kind. Available in the Apple and Google Play stores. Learn more at 5starapp.com.
What was it like to play in those big moments, big opportunities, big games? Do you remember being in, like, obviously you've been in a lot of big time game scenarios. So in terms of being in the locker room before the game, a question that we get a lot as players now is, how do you calm the game day nerves? What is something that you like to do?
I'm not a big dancer, but I like to like hang out and like try to distract myself. I love music so much. So I feel like I'm very much like be in the moment, whereas some people are like headphones on, like zoning. Maybe they're like visualizing in that moment, but I like to do it like before. So my routine was kind of visualized before I went to bed or kind of a few days before, so that when I'm in the locker room, like maybe have like a quick little mental checklist, but then like hang out with whoever's next to me in the locker room, kind of dance, listen to music, and get like pumped up for the games.
I like that. Putting your energy out into the space helps us out. It really does. Helps the rest of us out who get nice and nervous before games.
Yeah.
All right. So think back to, when you're at BC, you're, studying, you're playing lacrosse, you're doing all the fun stuff. What is your plan for after college? What were you studying and what were you hoping to do? And then were you hopeful for a future in continuing to play your sport professionally?
I definitely wanted to continue to play. Lacrosse brings me so much joy and I'm a very active person. So that was always kind of my plan, but how to get there and what to do, I had no idea. And I'm still figuring it out to this day. Yeah, exactly. Just figure it out as you go. But I have never been one to sit still. In college, we'd go to a study hall room and it would take me like 3 hours just to actually do work. Whereas if I just dedicated 30 minutes, it would have been so much more productive, but I'm all over the place. So I feel like that was kind of me navigating what was going to happen after college too. It's just I'm I'll figure out as I go. So, yeah, that's kind of exactly what happened. And honestly, COVID was a big turning point for me as far as how I pursued Dempsey Arsenault lacrosse and the training and coaching. I did it a little bit in the summer, but never where it was kind of all on me. It was always going and being guest appearance or helping out. And I feel COVID, I helped Alex Ashi created this online lacrosse platform, and I would go in my backyard during COVID and have my computer up, and I would be on doing drills, watching other girls mimic me. And so I found I had so much fun doing it. And then kind of when things when the world started to get back to normal, I was wait, I kind of want to do this full time. And so I also looked up to you. You were starting to do it in Taylor, and I was wait, you guys paved the way, and this is something that you can actually do as a 9 to 5. So that was kind of what inspired me. But I just find I love coaching and find so much joy. So that's kind of how I started.
My favorite thing that you keep saying is that you find a lot of joy in a lot of the things that you do. You mentioned it before we even started talking about how you just find so much joy in the sunshine, being out west. And you talked about it with running for the half marathon as well. You just talked about it with coaching and, having your parents in the stands, all those things. You talked about joy. So I think that's going to be the theme of today's podcast. We always take a cute little theme away from each of the episodes, or a wisdom almost. And it's really funny because I was writing the intro for this episode before we even hopped on, and I wrote something about how I've been playing with you for a couple of years and you always play with so much joy. And it's so funny that you keep saying the word joy, because it's you were reading my mind.
Wait, I love that.
Funny. I literally have it up right here. I'm that is just so crazy. But yeah, I think what's so important about that for our listeners is that, I guess my next question for you is, as we kind of head into, playing lacrosse for a Division I program, right? It's everything that you ever dream of and more, right? And then you're there, you're in it, and then all of a sudden it's over, right? And then we continue on, hopefully, to play professionally, we get to, right? We're very lucky to. And then we go into whatever jobs that we're doing that we were just mentioning. What have you seen as some of the struggles when it comes to post-graduating, going into training on your own, continuing to be an athlete? What are the differences that you've seen from college to pro in that regard?
I would say definitely the lack of structure. It's a lot of self-motivating and kind of figuring out what works for you. So some days maybe I'm not feeling super motivated, but I actually live with one of my old teammates at BC Care Urbank out here. And so I've gotten really into yoga out here because of her and our other friend and stuff. And so some days it's just so much easier when you have a buddy. And so that little in between of not really having a buddy or having that motivation, or the dips, that's something that's a struggle. But I feel I'll go on Instagram and I'll see you working out or getting back into running after your knee, or just talking to different teammates, seeing what they're doing. I feel that helps the motivation, but I feel the lack of structure and figuring out kind of what works personally best has been a little bit of a hard struggle. But yeah, I'd say that.
So what have you found to be your best balance so far? What works for Dempsey in terms of training and just getting ready to stay on the field when it comes to because what we do is so unique. I always like to talk to people about it, right? When they ask oh, what do you do? Oh, we play professional lacrosse. When's your season? How long is it? and sometimes saying, we only play every couple of months for a Team USA training camp, or, we only play for 5 weeks out of the year when it comes to professionally. It's like, oh, what does the training look like for that? So what has been the balance that you've found for you that works best so far?
Yeah, I've been out for I think 3 or 4 years now, and so I've put a little my hand into a bunch of different things, and honestly, my body has felt the best when I do prioritize stretching. Honestly, I've so yoga and those smaller the less intense workouts for me, I've actually noticed. I'm like, wow, I feel great right now. Where I feel like growing up in just in college, just go 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 go, and so I feel like one actually resting. That's always something that I feel like not many people do, and overworking your body. So I feel like resting and then doing those smaller stretches and yoga has been super helpful for me.
I love that. It's something I got into right before COVID too, was yoga, and just one of those other things that I really wish I had in college and prior to, I feel like my body would have been feeling so much better when you are going through a lot of that high intensity stuff. So yeah, we still have to do some yoga together. We have yet to do that.
We have to. I would love that. It's one of those things too where sometimes I really struggle to get myself on the mat, but then when I'm on the mat and just any workout, I always say you'll never regret a workout. It's once I get there, it's so crazy how different I feel afterwards, and completely changes the trajectory of my day. So I feel like any of you that are kind of flirting with the idea of doing it, try it, and I promise you won't regret it.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. That's the best way to put it. It's the same thing as visualization, right? Don't know how to start, don't know how to try it, kind of feels weird to start, just go for it. It's going to be great for you.
Exactly.
Okay, shifting here, because I was thinking about this. We were roommates for the World Championship. We were in, room 907. Shout out Emma and Alice. Those were our other roomies. But we were kind of just reminiscing a little bit before we even started, but we haven't really truly seen each other since the ring ceremony, which is crazy, which is a couple months ago. But think back to World Championship time. I want to know a little bit about what was your journey like to getting on that 18 player roster when it comes to making Team USA. Start from the very beginning for our listeners, and just kind of how you got invited to try out in the very beginning, and then the couple years leading up to, last summer.
Yeah. So my journey was a little bit different. I always dreamed of being on Team USA. And then it actually happened. I was a senior at BC, and I was really fortunate and lucky to do kind of my whole journey with my best friend, Sam Apuzzo. So we play, I love playing with her, but then we also were roommates, and I think it was one of our years we had every class together, or pretty much all of our classes together. So we spent a lot of quality time together, but she's a sister to me. So that was one thing that was really special, was I got to go through this whole journey with her. While navigating BC, we would go and do these kind of play days, and it was just so cool being around so many people that I've looked up to, and then being able to share the field, and kind of go from one watching them from a distance to now being friends with a lot of people that I looked up to. So that was pretty interesting, and really cool. But as far as the World Championships and actually making the team, one thing that I was preparing for, I was okay, we have an interview, what are some things that stick out to me? And one thing that I really feel helped me was this quote that's don't sacrifice what you want in the moment for what you want most. And I feel going through that whole journey, it was in the summers, all your friends are going to the beach, and you're having to go and go to training camps or do these hard workouts where sometimes it's a grind, but eventually trying to reach that goal was kind of something that motivated me and helped me. But as far as the actual the World Championships, it was so surreal, and I kept having to be wait, all of our games were at night, we're a roommate, we're eating snacks, we're hanging out, but it's wait, I'm living a dream right now. I need to take a second and soak it all in. But yeah, it was I look back on it all the time. I'm wait, we actually did that. We won a gold.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
It is pretty surreal to think back to it, because I was the same way. When we were in it, it's just, it feels like any other, training camp when you're just kind of going about the schedule of the day, but then you stop and you're wait, this isn't just a regular practice. This isn't just a regular day. This is what we've been working for our whole lives, and this is really, really special. So but I love that you mentioned about, playing with Sam for so long. I was going to ask you about that. So, and ask you how just kind of your relationship on and off the field has been so awesome for you guys as players. And you could tell that you guys have that sister-like mentality, which is so fun to be around. And it's so nice to be on the same side of it now and not playing against you like in college. Thank you for that. But yeah, when it comes to winning the gold medal, right? When you think back to just kind of like that 10-day tournament, what were some of those little memories that you remember? I know you don't have the best memory, but maybe you remember a fun game that we played, or a specific night that we had a rain delay or something funny happened. Is there any stories you can share with us from our World Championship this past summer?
I would say one that sticks out is playing a lot of Catan, the board game, during those hours of, it was so bizarre. Well, not bizarre, but it's just like, I feel like so many of those days, it was like our games were so late at night that it was like, okay, you gotta, what'd you say?
And then they'd get delayed. So they'd start at 7, but then they'd get delayed till like 9:30. So
yes, exactly. So I remember one is playing Catan in the day and like just trying to like prepare yourself mentally, but like stay loose and have fun. And then we had a rain delay, and I think did we play at like midnight?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a game where I remember being like, wait, I'm like usually asleep for like 3 hours right now. Like, what is going on? But meanwhile, we're like eating goldfish and like playing soccer in a locker room. So like that was just so funny. And then the other one is I remember us all being on the bus to get to the field. We'd have to take a bus, and like people dancing and like the songs and just like those little moments of like just laughing and just enjoying the moment.
Yeah, that little bus for us, that was always a good bus ride from the dorms to the field. Playing Bad by Yin Yang Twins.
Yes, I couldn't remember the name of it, but I'm like, wait, I know. I'm just like picturing Becca like headbanging.
Oh, that's awesome. So last question about, Team USA as we kind of head into the rest of this conversation, but who were some of those people that, those players that before you got to training camp were your first time, or even throughout the entire process, who were some of those players that you looked up to watching from afar, maybe, and then you finally get to play with them, or maybe they were, players like Sam, who you were really close with. Who were those players that like almost inspired you to be a part of it, and, just were really happy to be around?
I would say like as a midi, like Taylor was one of those people, Taylor Cummings, but then it was really unique because Kayla Trainer was our coach at BC. So then seeing her as a coach and she totally helped me as far as like the mental aspect and confidence, like as a player at BC, and then going to being her teammate and her still having that same kind of like follow me type mentality. Like I just look up to her in like every way. So I'd say she definitely is one that is like a role model and someone that it was so cool just to kind of watch her. And I think she's like the best. So being able to go from like just like looking up to her like off the field and then being able to play next to her was something that was like beyond special.
That's a really cool dynamic. Just being able to see her in a lot of different lights, but I like what you mentioned about that in that follow me kind of mentality, because she definitely has that aura. So that was a really cool way to put that, for sure. Okay, so can you tell us, we're going to get into a little bit of inspiration in a second, but can you tell us a little bit about who Dempsey is off the lacrosse field? We know that you are a, insanely athletic, awesome midfielder who can get any draw, any 50-50 ground ball, can dodge to the cage and absolutely score any pass that is passed inside the 8 to her. We know.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
I'm just excited. You better be my captain again this summer.
You drafted me like my first, like was that the practice or no? It was the first week.
I don't even remember. It might have been the first.
We played together the first week. I'm not.
Yeah, Golds, right?
Yes.
On Golds, yeah. We did that, and then you drafted me when you were captain on Team Blue one of the other weeks.
Yes. Oh, okay.
I know. I'm getting excited. We're getting excited.
Go now?
Nobody listened to our draft picks. We're giving away draft picks right now. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so I mean, listen, the world sees you as Dempsey Arsenault, the lacrosse player, right? And we know how incredibly special you are on the lacrosse field, but what are some things that you like to do off the lacrosse field? What are some, projects you're involved in right now that the people should know about? What are some of your hobbies that you love? Who is Dempsey off the field?
Oh, well, this is fun. I feel like I am definitely someone that loves to be outside, especially I was in Boston for a year before I moved out to, now I'm in sunny San Diego. Even though it's been a little cold, everyone's like, is it beautiful? I'm like, it's nicer than Boston, but still a little cold, but apparently it's getting really nice. And so I just have that deep appreciation for when the sun is out. But I feel like I like obviously lacrosse is like my 9 to 5. So I feel like right now I'm spending a lot of time coaching and meeting new people and kind of getting the field for the culture, like the lacrosse culture out here, and continue to grow the game. But as far as like for fun, I like love to do yoga, hang out with my friends. We like to cook. I love to spend time on the beach, go on walks. And then I also love to travel. So I feel like I'm always like trying to like line up coaching with different travels. And so that is something that is new, and I feel like so lucky to be able to do that. And it's so cool. I just got back from Japan like a month ago, and it was my first time ever like really traveling somewhere really far. I've been to like Aruba. I think that's the farthest I've been, but like I've never been to like Europe or anything like that. And so it was like the best experience ever. And it's just so cool that lacrosse gave me that kind of opportunity. So I feel like that's me.
Oh, that's amazing. How was Japan? Did you have so much fun?
Oh my gosh, I had so much fun. And I ate so much like sushi and ramen noodles, and oh my gosh, but it was incredible. It was really, it seriously was life-changing. It was amazing.
Yeah, I went back in 2019 and I said the same thing. It's just life-changing, right? It was
Yeah.
just really eye-opening to go somewhere so far away, literally the other side of the world, and do it for lacrosse.
Yeah.
Like that was the most mind-blowing thing to me. So it looked like you guys absolutely had a super fun time. Hopefully I will be there next time, because that is definitely a place on my list I got to get back to.
Definitely. Yeah, it was really, really cool.
All right. So who is Dempsey on the lacrosse field? This is one of my favorite questions to ask, in terms of, like questions that we don't like to be asked as athletes. But like I know if someone asked me this question, I wouldn't like to answer it. That's why I like to ask my friends instead. But I know it's rude, right? But I know as your teammate, right? Like I know how great of a leader you are. I know how great it is to be by your side. I know how, motivating it is to see you play with such joy and passion and like spark, right? And that just motivates me to play harder being alongside you. So my question for you is, what do you think makes you a great lacrosse player and a great leader? What do you think makes you on the field?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you. And you just said spark, and when I think of spark, I think of you and like highlight sparks of like behind the backs and those diving plays and you tumbling and me just being like, whoa! Like I feel like so many pictures are just my hands are just in the air and I'm just like running over to you. So
It's so funny. You thank you right back, but that's so funny. You remember the one post that AU posted? I think it was last year or something. I think it was like a highlight reel, and you commented on it. And you go, Kylie, why am I jumping up and down for joy in every single one of these like videos of you scoring? You're literally like a little jumping bean in the back. It's so awesome, but it makes you such a great teammate. That is what like I see from that. Like we think it's funny now when we look back at it, but like, you really bring that energy to a team and that like happiness and that joy and that spark. So I appreciate that, but that is all you.
Well, thank you. And a lot of times I feel like in the pictures, my hands are in the air before you even score. Like I'll really pass or someone will pass you, my hands are just automatically up. I'm like, oh, it's a goal, let's go. But also I feel like sometimes too, I'm like celebrating because like as midi you're going up and down so much. So I'm like, yes, we scored a break. Like that's like also adds to it. But no, I would say I really do like want my teammates to succeed, and I feel like I've always like tried to be like unselfish, and I generally like find joy when my teammates do well because like I don't know, we all work so hard, so like to see it pay off is something. But as far as like me physically on the field, I would say I try to be like balanced on both sides of the ball. And like I think on it you asked earlier, like hockey, I feel like that like gritty mindset of like those 50-50 balls and like those draws are kind of like where I'm like, okay, like this is like Jenny would always say, what's your superpower? Like that was something she always said. And so I'd always be like trying to like work hard for my teammates and like being like gritty is something that I like try to be. But then yeah, no, I just find joy for everyone else. So yeah.
I think you do all of the above very, very well. And that's why you are who you are. So yeah, but I can't, obviously you guys are listening can probably tell that we can't wait to get back out on the field this summer.
I know, wait, I'm like, it's April. We still have like how many months? Like 3 months? Like no.
3 months. Yeah. I mean, listen, it's good for me. The more time, the better for me, but just to get my knee right. But I could be right back out there in a second if I needed to right now.
I'm so excited for that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So we talked a little bit about some inspiration from the teammates that you've played with, Kayla Trainer, Sam Apuzzo. You even talked about your head coach at BC, Acacia Walker, with a lot of visualization techniques and stuff like that. We're going to talk a little bit about some inspiration right now. So it's a two-sided question. And the first side is, I guess, from someone special in your life, maybe a mentor, coach, someone you look up to. What is one piece of advice that you've taken from them and you've kind of just taken it through life and kind of into who you are as a person?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say two things stick out to me. One is just kind of like my favorite quote to go back to is like believe in yourself, or like she believed she could, so she did, that one. Because I feel like so many times like with girls, it's like hard to be confident, or like you like, I don't know, just like it's hard growing up and like finding that confidence of like believing in yourself, but like you really should be your biggest fan. And I feel like what helped me kind of bridge that gap was one, being at BC and being around Kayla and Sam and Acacia and those people that kind of like paved the way and like really believed in me to like help me believe in myself. But I feel like also like getting confidence from like putting in the work and working really hard. I feel like that's something that it's like, okay, like maybe you're having a bad day, but you and like playing wobble or going shooting, like you can get confidence from that. So I say that one is pretty special. And then the other one I said earlier is like, don't risk what you want in the moment for what you want most. I feel like that's something that as like an athlete and making sacrifices is something that is really special and like something that's not always easy, but really important if you want to reach your kind of goals and your dreams.
I love them both. That's awesome. All right. The other side of the question is, if I'm a player or a person out there following Dempsey Arsenault, what is something that you're hoping that those people who follow you, who look up to you for inspiration or advice, or just kind of, general inspiration mostly, what are you hoping that they take away from you?
Well, I don't know if it's just because you said it earlier, but I would say like find joy or be happy in like what you're doing. Like everyone's gonna have hard days. Like I'm not saying that every single day is like amazing, but if you can like find what actually makes you happy and like stick to it. Like I know like being outside and moving my body, like always, like I feel so much better like after I do that. So like find those little moments. Maybe that's like listening to music or just like find what works for you and then sticking to it, and just like doing what actually makes you happy, I would say, is something that, one, it's not always easy, but if you can find what works, like stick to it.
Love it. Beautifully said. And definitely something that we can obviously take from you. But okay, so our last question here before we get some questions from our KO17 fam is, what are your hopes for the future? What are your hopes and dreams for, first, I'll ask you about what do you think when you think of our sport? It's obviously come so far, especially on the women's side, but what are you thinking of in terms of 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line for the future of our game, women's lacrosse?
I would say just continue to grow and getting as much exposure as possible. Being from somewhere that's not a huge hotbed like New Hampshire and then coming out here where it's still growing in California, I would say just like making it so that people, like you'll see, like I trained this morning, I was at the field and I could see people looking, they were playing soccer off to the side and kind of looking like, obviously they probably have seen lacrosse before, but like just getting it so like everyone knows or kind of like knows about lacrosse and just continuing to grow. And it's huge that the men's championship is out here in San Diego this summer. But I would say just like getting that exposure and like making it as popular as possible.
That's a great way to put it. And yes, gonna have to hang out in San Diego this summer for sure. Okay, so in terms of your hopes and dreams for the future, what for the future of Dempsey Arsenault, what are your hopes and dreams? What are you after next, after your half marathon? What are your hopes and dreams for you?
Well, I'm excited for season 3. I feel like every year I just like, one, I'm still like, I just grow more appreciative to continue to play. And so I'm really looking forward to season 3. And then as far as like coaching and stuff, just like getting in front of as many girls as possible and like meeting as many people. I've already met so many new people moving across the country. So just continue to grow and travel, bring the game and meet new people and hopefully make other girls like fall in love with the game.
Beautifully said. I actually I thought of one more question before we get to our KO17 fam, as you started talking a little bit about business there. I think it obviously takes a ton of confidence and like courage to just go after that, right? And be able to start your own business and fully do it full time, right? So what has been the biggest, I guess, lesson that you've learned from, starting your own business and kind of just like taking that leap of faith? What would you, if you had some listeners on here who are thinking about starting their own thing, or thinking about taking on a big project that they've never done before and they haven't had the courage to go and do it. What is something that you've learned and like a little bit of advice that you can give them?
I would say definitely just like go for it, even if you don't have everything figured out. Just like go for it, and just like the rest will work itself out. Like don't say no to opportunities. Like anytime you can like meet new people or get in front of another team or a few girls, just go for it. Because so many times I'm like, oh, like should I do that, like I don't know, and I like second guess, and then I've never once like done something and been like regretful of it. Like every single time I leave the field, I'm like, wait, I'm so thankful I did that. I met a new person, or this happened. And so many different times that like I've done one thing, it leads to another, or another connection, or another girl coming to my one of my sessions. So I would say even if you have doubts, just like go for it. And it's so funny me saying that now, because like so many times during the week I like call my mom or my dad and be like, oh, I don't know, like, and they're just like, just do it. So it's okay if you need to like rely on your support system to push you, but I would say like I'll be your push, and just like go for kind of like whatever you want and don't hold yourself back.
Oh, that's really cool that you have that, support system. I like that you mentioned that as advice as well. I think surrounding yourself with your circle, right?
Yeah.
None of us are meant to do anything alone. So especially not the scary stuff. So love that you mentioned that.
Exactly.
All right. Our KO17 fam has a couple of questions for you. They wrote in on our Instagram story. They're excited to hear this episode, which I'm excited about. So one of our most avid listeners, her name is at Kira Kirby on Instagram. She wants to know, how do you reset after a bad mistake? Like, how do you get out of your head?
Oh, it's a lot easier said than done, but I would say just like focus on the next play or the next controllable. So like if like I miss a dodge or I miss a shot or throw it away on offense, like because of a midi, like doing something great on like something that I can control, like riding or hustling back, or like good ball pressure, and like letting myself like kind of forget the mistake and then like find that next kind of play develop. So probably that. And likewise, like on defense, like if you make a mistake, like focus and channel your energy into like the next play.
Next play mentality. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Great question, Kira Kirby. We kind of asked this question already, but was there anybody who inspired you to start playing lacrosse? Or someone who inspired you to play at the next level, maybe in college? This one's from Amber Lynn.
Yeah, I would say the girls that I grew up with, the other faculty kids at New Hampton, and then all the athletes kind of that I watched from the sideline at New Hampton at a young age.
That's awesome that you had that to grow up with. I'm super jealous. That must have been so cool just to, watch athletes dream and then be able to make it happen. And then you were there as a young kid. Like as young kids, I feel like we're so absorbent of that kind of stuff. Like my older cousin, she was my only female cousin. I saw her playing soccer and playing basketball, and we used to go to all of her games, and my parents used to take us out of school early to go to like a state soccer game to watch her play. And but I just remember her being my biggest role model because she was so right there. You know what I mean? So for you to have that right there every single day must have been so awesome for you.
Oh my gosh, it was so special. And even now, like, okay, this is like kind of funny, but since my parents still work there, they're like New Hampton's playing their big rivals. So like my mom was like texting me updates and stuff. So like I still feel like I'm like kind of involved in some way because my parents are there and like living it every day. And then also it's so cool that New Hampton, like they're in just prep schools on the East Coast and everywhere in general, there are so many like athletes that are continuing on in college. So like I'll like turn on a game and like watch girls like from New Hampton and those connections like on TV now, and also in like different sports. Like there is a player that played for UConn and just won the national championship for basketball, and he went to New Hampton for a few years. So like just even having that little connection, like I'm watching like basketball with that little spark. So I feel like I was super fortunate to have that connection.
That's awesome. I loved watching the Final Fours this past year. They were so much fun to watch.
So much fun.
So much fun. That is so cool.
Our lives are meshed together. Through the ups and downs, a tight-knit community. We catch each other when we fall, we raise each other up, and we have each other's backs. There are no fair weather friends here. We show up every season, through the cold, the heat, the rain. When the goal's in our sights, we're ready to fight with our collective strengths, because together, we're tougher. Check with your local retailer online or in-store to find Brine products.
All right, last one we have here. This one's from KitKatLax42 on Instagram. She'd like to know, what obstacles did you have to overcome to get to where you are today?
Like Kylie, I also tore my ACL. So I tore my ACL going into my senior year in high school. So it was a really like pivotal point in my career of like training to get back, but then not only that, but like switching from high school to college. So I feel like that also like it was so difficult and so hard because I had to miss field hockey and ice hockey and the two other sports that I played. So I didn't get to play my senior year, which was a real bummer. But that was where I really kind of like dove into like training my body, and I had a physical therapist who was like amazing. She was like a famous triathlete, and so she would put me through like the hardest workouts of my life, but kind of like taking care of my body. And that was the bridge where I started like learning how to like eat right and work out and train. So while it was so tough, I look back and I'm like, wait, if I didn't go through that, like I have no idea if I would be here today.
Mm-hmm. That's a really great way to put it, right? Is everything happens for a reason. I'm a big believer in that. So that's really great that you're able to look back on probably what was some of the lowest moments, right? Mentally for you, and turn it into something that, you know, really you think changed your trajectory, even though I think you would have been here anyway, no matter what. So okay, this is the most fun segment. It's our last one. It's called quick finishes. Just like, you know, quick finishes on the crease.
Love it. Love it.
Okay, and it's kind of like rapid fire, but some guests like to rapid fire answer. Some like to explain their answers with like 2-3 minute answers, like Charlotte. So it's totally up to you. We love you, Charlotte. But it's kind of just to get to know Dempsey. Random questions. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, what is your favorite place that you've traveled to?
Aruba.
I love it. Pizza or tacos?
Oh, tacos.
Yeah, I think me too. What's your favorite sweet tooth treat? So dessert, candy, ice cream.
Okay, this is a little fun fact. I'm going to elaborate on this. I have the biggest sweet tooth ever. Like, I need dessert or sugar after every meal. Like, it's absurd, like, so bad, but I would say ice cream is my favorite. And if you ever come to California, this is for everyone, you have to go to Salt and Straw. Have you ever been or heard of it? Oh my gosh, it is the best ice cream I've ever had in my life. And every month they do 5 or 3, I think it's like 5 new flavors where it's like so crazy. So like last month with like cereal theme. So they had 5 new cereal, but they always have like a consistent batch. But it's so bad. There's one 15 minutes away and we go quite like kind of a lot. Like I shouldn't say how many times. So I would say ice cream, but I just love sugar and like sweets in general.
We go way too many times. That's awesome. Okay, who is an athlete that you like to follow for inspiration?
Noelle Lambert, who I also got to play with with GSC growing up, and now I've like watched her. She just recently was on Survivor, which is one of my favorite shows of all time. So I'm just a big fangirl of her in general as an athlete and just as a person.
Oh, that's awesome. She has such a great story. I was lucky enough to play against her in college. So that's really cool. You're the first person to shout her out on here. So shout out Noelle. We're gonna have to get her on here.
You should. Oh my gosh, she's incredible. She was on Victoria Garrett's podcast, and she was incredible. I listened to it, and she like is so funny too. So I was like crying laughing.
I love that. All right, what's your go-to karaoke song?
I don't know. I'm not a big karaoke person. I would say if I had to do one, it would be Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield.
Oh, good one. I could see you singing that one.
Like, yeah. But you like probably will never see me do karaoke. I'm not gonna lie.
You almost started singing it for us right here, though.
No.
Oh my gosh, that would have been hilarious. Okay, what is your favorite number and why?
My favorite number is 18, and my dad wore it in college, and so it's just a family number, and I've stuck with it, and I like love it.
Oh, love it. Me too. My dad too. Wore 17.
Love it. Yeah, because we'd always get to be like next to each other whenever there was numbers.
Yeah, 17, 18. She's the 18 to my 17. I love it. Okay, who is one band or artist that you'd want to see in concert right now?
Well, actually, I just got my ticket to Stagecoach. So It's a huge 3-day music festival in California, and it's all country. And so I'm so excited for that. But I would say he's not going to be there, but I'd say Luke Combs. But at the concert, I'm most excited to see Old Dominion.
Ooh, that's a good one. That sounds like, what is it, like 2 or 3 days?
Yeah, it's 3 days. And it's actually in where Coachella's in Palm Springs, which was really funny because for the AU exhibition game, it was like on the fields where the festival.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
So you played a lacrosse game there, and then you'll also go to a 3-day concert there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. All right, last but not least, what is one thing on your bucket list?
Ooh, my bucket list. I would say just continuing to travel, and specifically, I've always wanted to go to Greece. Have you ever been to Greece?
No, I've never been. It's on my list too, though.
Okay, I would say go to Greece at some point, or just Europe in general. After going to Japan, I'm like, I need to travel more. This is like, it honestly was life changing. So I would say just travel more, but specifically Greece.
Oh, that's awesome. You're just like me. I went to Japan before I went to Europe too. And last year was the first time I went to Europe. So we just skipped right over it first.
Yeah.
And then we'll go back.
Exactly.
So we are officially done with all of our questions, but I just wanted to say a massive thank you for coming on to the Dream On pod and hanging out and chatting with us and telling us a little bit about your story and just who you are off the field and behind the scenes and behind all the awesomeness that you are as a lacrosse player. I think that's why we do this Dream On podcast. And I've been very fortunate to be your teammate over the last couple of years. And I'm grateful to have you as a friend. So thank you so much for, hanging out with us in the KO17 fam tonight.
Oh my gosh, that was so sweet. And thank you for having me. I say the exact same things about you. And this just like totally made my Monday. And I'm just so excited to play with you again.
I know.
We're team. We're gonna have so much fun this summer.
I'll draft you if you draft me. That's how this works.
Yeah.
I love it.
No, seriously, this is awesome.
Thank you for doing it. Thank you everybody for listening. We'll see you guys next time.